Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. In today's video we are going to be doing Deer Floor 4 with the brand new SKULD on this team. As you can see, we are not using Yorm, mainly because Yorm is sort of I don't know, she just doesn't deal enough damage, and she's quite a liability because she's an old character and she's quite weak. So instead we are rocking this team. So for gear we have HP defense, attack crit. So he won't get targeted because not only is the deer green, so it won't target a red unit, he also has quite a bit of health and nearly the same health as Tyr when we get into it, because of course he boosts his own stats. For the card set we've got anti-freeze. You need the anti-freeze card set. You get it once again by completing deer, so it should be quite easy to obtain. But yeah, in this video I'm going to explain every mechanic of it as I go through it, at least to my understanding, and yeah, there's still a few things I believe should be nerfed, but we'll get on to that. Here we go, on to Deer Floor 4, which should hopefully be not... I'm not going to say super easy. The first 3 phases are easy. The final phase is when RNG is really going to bash you over the head if it is going to go bad. The first 2 phases I can basically do in my sleep at this point. It's pretty standard. Once again, because SKULD has... Okay, so once again, this is SKULD Showcase, so if you want to skip over some of it, you may have to. But SKULD is really good because she has a minimum damage, which means as long as the boss is full health and the damage cap is less than 40%, she can guarantee hit damage cap, and even in some cases she can still hit damage cap after 2, even 3 skills, because herself can actually do... She can do quite a bit of damage. She's got a lot of basic stats. Her counter is quite useful on the 3rd phase. I don't really use it otherwise. It's actually also useful, very useful on the 1st phase as well. So firstly, I try and even out my cards by getting rid of a card of everyone. As you can see here, the damage is pretty good, which is sort of what we need. It's just good damage. Because next turn we are going to Thor Alt Rush, because we need to Thor Alt Rush, because I'll explain when we get to the gimmick. There we go, the counter goes off. It is very minimal damage because the deer does have 1000% resistance to counters, but after a while the chip damage does sort of add up and you sort of realise, okay, this chip damage is actually pretty good. Because not only it does not trigger this buff here, which is stupid because when you hit it, it heals 300,000 health, which can sometimes actually be more than the damage cap itself, which is crazy. We need to move here to get ultimate. So we get ultimate with Thor here, doesn't matter your ult level. You could be 1/6, it doesn't matter. Preferably here, if you were to have the optimal team, you'd have everyone's relic. When it comes to outfits, only Thor and SKULD have outfits, Tyr does not have outfits, and Freya definitely does not have outfits. My Freya is as free to play as he's going to get. On this run, I'm pretty sure Thor has the deer and the bird upgrade on her weapon, on her relic. So as you can see here, then we had the torrent debuff, and then we got frozen. So the torrent debuff can only be removed with that freeze skill, and then with that freeze skill, when this freeze is removed, you lose 20% of your remaining health, which is fine. We use Thor's ult kills, and that is the reason why that counter is pretty handy. Is it helps us get it below the 20% there, where it may require you to have an additional Thor skill, but it doesn't when you've got SKULD on the team, which is pretty handy. And then we'll just move. I'm not going to move for an ultimate. I'm just going to move hand space. Once again, I'm going to get Tyr's ult anyway next turn. But this turn I don't want it. So on this phase, pretty simple. You play 2 green skills, you remove the blue damage reduction. You play 2 blue skills, you remove the red damage reduction. You play 2 red skills, you remove the green damage reduction. But once again, this is where SKULD comes in handy. Like I said, she has a minimum damage threshold with that skill, which is 40% remaining HP. So what does that mean? I'm going to play 4 skills because I don't want them, I'm going to be real. But this can do guaranteed damage cap, even though it's got crazy damage reduction. And you can have 2, maybe 3 SKULD skills here, and you would do 2/3 damage caps, which is really good, especially for a phase like this that has a lot of damage reduction. Later on there is another phase that sort of has a damage reduction like this, but it's not 1000%, so the team does still quite good damage. Red skills, seems like our next target will be playing red skills. Let's get rid of the green damage reduction. We'll play 3. Also, when you complete the gimmick, you do actually remove the infect as well. Infect is pretty bad, but with a team like this, like SKULD, who's providing with like 15% damage reduction per character, Tyr providing 15% damage reduction per character, we are at the damage cap, which is 80%. And then when she applies a stance, you get additional lowers the final damage, which can actually stack on top of damage reduction, which is the reason why this team can be so tanky sometimes. Yeah, I'm going to have to play red skills. I'll do this. I get Freya's ult as well, which is really good. I would preferably have liked it to be Thor, solely because... I don't know. I wish I played Thor skills here, because then I would have then been able to play the Freya skills next turn, and then got some good damage in there. But no. There we go, that's fine. Still not the best on RNG, but that's okay. We've got SKULD skills. Yeah, torrent debuff is now in effect as well, which is whenever you play a skill, you lose X% of your max HP. I'm pretty sure I can give you 4 of these later on at once. Only the first phase has grey, every other phase has red, which means it can be removed with Tears passive. Also, this one is the weaker one. There is one later on that's like 10% your max HP. So yeah. I'm actually going to do this. This is definitely a waste of red skills, but I really want to remove the torrent debuff because it is actually quite a pain to deal with. And then we'll move for SKULD. SKULD's ultimate also has the same effect as her single target, which is nice. When we play 3 single targets, we will then remove the debuff and get a heal for my team, which is pretty handy. Bear in mind this team has like basically no healing. The only healing we're going to get is from the lifesteal from Freya's buffs, which you get every 2 turns, which you're capped at 2, I believe it's about 10% of all stats. And then, of course, healing, removing a debuff. A lot of these debuffs are grey, sadly, but that's just how it is sometimes. Here we can... I'm going to triple Thor, that should guarantee the kill, and I'm going to waste the counter because I don't want the counter. It's good, don't get me wrong. It's even good on the next phase, but I just don't want it. If she did not have a counter and had like another single target or even like an AoE skill, she would be so much better for this, even more than what she currently is. Of course, that would make the first phase slightly harder, but it would make every other phase so much easier. Because you can just get spammed with counters. The amount of times I've just had like gold counters just sitting there, and I feel like that might actually happen again by the current state of things. We'll do this, we'll do this, we'll do this, and we'll get rid of... So, with the next phase, you sort of want tier skills still. So, I'm going to explain the gimmick a little bit. It's got buffs. When it reaches a certain limit of buffs, it regains all its damage reduction stacks, and then on top of that, gains... See, we did damage cut 3 times there. And then we'll gain an all-stat boost. That's fine. Once again, I'm completely fine with just like going through SKULD skills. So the reason why we played 3 of the same attributes, we got a shield there. Every other turn he plays a single target skill that will guarantee kill one of your... It does like 1,000,000 damage. It's going to guarantee kill one of your people, even with a SKULD counter up. So every other turn you can play a shield that will, once again, make it so he misses. But what you can do is that it doesn't say you can only play the shield every other turn. You can play the shield every turn to maximize your damage reduction, which is what I do sometimes. Because you just basically want to maximize as much damage reduction as you can. Probably shouldn't have played that, but it is what it is. SKULD count's pretty good. On this phase, there's no damage reduction for the first skill, so you can see people are doing their true damage, what their damage should be, which is nice. And now we're on to the final phase, which is definitely horrendous, I will say that, because especially when you get hands like this. These are the hands where you sort of just think, why? So what you want to do is you want to do one color wheel every time. I'm going to just merge hand space because I just desperately need hand space. No, something I can do is get a Thor skill and get Thor's ultimate. But yeah, you basically just want to play the color wheel every time, finishing and starting with green every time, which is basically one full color wheel. It doesn't matter what you do it in. Some people like to start with red. I personally like to start with green, so I can start with the buff removal immediately. Thank you for some actually quite decent RNG though. Not the worst, but definitely nowhere near the best. As you see, he gets these buffs. Once he gets 5 of these buffs, and it goes back onto his turn again. For example, if he gets 5 this turn, it's not too bad. But if he gets 5, and then it goes past my turn, back onto his turn, he will get an all-stat boost, which is quite a pain to deal with. So something I can do is I am going to remove it, just because it will just be a pain. Blue, and then red. I could do another green, but it's not really worth it. Or something I could just play for hand spaces and that instead, so which we will do. Green, blue, and then a red. Actually, I'm using ultimates. It's fine. Freya's ultimate's also very good. I will say that, even at like... Preferably want him hijacked, I'm not going to lie. But it's still very good. Also, when I play a skill, it does actually remove the effects as well, because once again, it counts as it being used up, which is handy. We've got another blue skill as well, which is actually quite lucky there. He is going to now start buffing himself up, which is now where it's going to start to get quite scary. Damage on the team. Tears not very well built for Red Tarmiel, I'm not going to lie. You could probably quite easily, once again, he's just normal HP defense, alright? You can probably give him recovery rate or whatever you want to do to maximize his lifesteal. I'm not doing that because I don't really feel it's necessary. And now we do a green, we do a blue, and then we do a red, and then I'm going to move Freya again for the extra hand space. So you see here we're going to remove the buffs, and you see here we also now remove the red damage reduction. Every time you also play a cycle of the colour wheel, you also remove an immortality stack, which is what you need to do. And then Freya, boom, and then boom, huge damage from Freya. And now we've also now removed the green damage reduction, because it removes the last one of your cycle, the first one of your cycle, and at the end it will then remove the middle one from the cycle. Which is, it's not the best, I'm not going to lie. But it is what it is, and it's actually pretty good. It's not too bad. We should actually just be able to kill here. So Thor's not going to deal with much damage. I could just put up a stance for the sake of putting up a stance, which would actually give me damage reduction. Just so Tyr just doesn't get nuked. The counter's not as bad as what I remember it being. I remember it just being a one-shot counter. It's not. It can't be removed, so you can't use stance cancel, so do not use stance cancel. Misses when there's a barrier. I don't know how you get a barrier on this phase. I don't know how on earth you do. I wish I knew, because it'd actually be quite good, but I don't know how you get that. Unless I had a character later on that gives you a barrier, which would actually be pretty cool. And then we just kill like this. So we remove the buff first, because we're removing the attack-related stat boost, because I don't really want to have to deal with the attack-related stat boost. There we go, he gets hit by the counter, that's fine, because we have the final damage lower. We can now hit it with a blue skill as well, because we did the cycle, and that's it. It's not too hard. Once again, the final phase, you can quite easily get screwed on. Like, this was my first attempt, but you can quite easily get screwed on the fact of like you not pulling the right cards, and then it's a very, very, very long day. Especially for the final phase, because you can do the first 3 phases. I say it takes you 5 minutes in the first 3 phases, and the final phase you can get stuck on for ages. It's not really a phase you can stall on either, because if you get too many buffs, you don't pull enough skills, you pull too many red skills, and if you attack, let's say, with the wrong attribute, which is something I didn't do there, you get corrosion, sort of like floor 3. So yeah, that's it. Thank you for watching, hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.